Hi, everyone. This is the Balanced Life podcast, and today's show is called Making Balance During a Building Phase. So, the building phase of anything is the most exciting and stressful time of any endeavor, and for me, it's the time I find it the hardest to appropriately balance my priorities. If you would like to feel less stressed and chaotic and more balanced during building phases in your business, then you are really going to get something out of today's podcast. Let's start out by acknowledging the obvious. During times of growth or building, there will be, of necessity, a greater focus on the area that you're building, whatever that is. This could be starting a business, starting a family, building a career, or any other area where you're trying to make something grow. So I want you to put aside the guilt that things aren't perfect. We're just going to, take that at face value. But if you are listening to this podcast, you'd really like to not feel you're completely neglecting that area. And that is where the tips I'll share in this podcast, when applied, will really help. First, let me clarify one thing about the title, Making Balance. Although it sounds really odd to the ear, it is an intentional word choice. When we make something, it is a conscious choice that requires planning, a framework, tools, sometimes a team. And that is a great picture of what must happen. So let me dive into showing you exactly how. The first tip will be keeping focus and being present when you're working on a task or spending time with others. Checking your phone and responding to text messages when on a date with your significant other is just as bad as social texting when at work. We have become a society that has completely blurred the lines of home time and work time. However, consistently, when I'm reading books from people who have exceptional success in business and personal spheres, they have done a great job of focusing on work at work and focusing at home at home. These are people who are incredibly busy, but incredibly productive. Furthermore, I have found in my own work-life balance, it's when my personal life blows up my phone when I'm working or when something from my business happens after hours that I seriously have the greatest amount of stress. We have lost our sense of scarcity when it comes to time because technology allows us to be in an ever-present now. But to regain balance, one of the easiest and best things you can do today is to separate work and life. The next thing, set priorities and plan for interruptions. You would truly be shocked at how little time it takes you to accomplish important tasks when you choose to maintain focus on those things. I can write well over 3,000 to 5,000 words on a book, blog, video script in about an hour or less when I sit down and quietly work. Or I have 2 days in a row where I have nothing to show for the 12 hours I lived awake, like the last 2 days. When I don't take the hour before everyone else is awake, or when everyone is still asleep, to work and simply focus. I can write a full first draft of a book, start to finish, idea to outline to rough draft, in under a month when I will simply work 90 minutes a day, Monday through Friday, from 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. That's because most notifications and alerts don't come in until about 8 to 9 in the morning on my phone, and by then, I have the bulk of my writing done. And a 50,000 word book is a couple hundred printed pages. We're not talking about a journal or a low content book, which I also do. So, what important tasks could you accomplish by carving out time early in the day? I get up an hour early on these days, and I am not a morning person at all. I do it because every time I do, I see the value of taking that time in the morning. If you can't do work during those hours, make that time in your schedule be like scheduling your meals, or writing your grocery list, or ordering your groceries, reading, studying investment strategies, or other important tasks that will save you time and money. The point is to set those priorities and focus. And then you plan for the interruptions to come, because they will. You need to plan for them. My daily schedule is to complete all tasks that require my focus and attention by 11:30 in the morning. Then I eat lunch, and the rest of the day is typically a blur of interruptions, errands, small tasks, training my team, research, generally the things that have to be done, like ordering office supplies or evaluating the efficiency of some software that really I don't know much about. I do that in the afternoon when I know I'm going to be interrupted because it's okay then. I'm not trying to focus like I am when I'm doing my books. The third thing is you need to prioritize downtime and relationships. I am an introvert by nature. It's incredibly exhausting for me to spend time with people. So I'm not saying that you have to go to parties or spend time with lots of people unless that energizes you. I mean, if that's your thing and that's how you get going, then definitely do that. But those important relationships cannot be ignored or they're going to die. So even if you're doing social things, remember to make time for relationships and family. That means if you get together with friends once a month, don't skip it because you're too busy. If your kids want to play a board game and we used to have girl movie night because I had all daughters. And so Monday nights were girl movie night and we would go to the library, we would rent a movie and we would sit down and watch it Sunday while my husband was at a Monday night meeting that he attended. He was on the fire department. It was drills and it was girl movie night and I didn't skip it and I didn't work during it. Stay focused so you have the time. Don't work until you're too exhausted to see straight and then try to go to bed because you're just going to lay there with insomnia with your brain running like crazy. In fact, twice a day, you need to stop working for 10 minutes. Set a timer. Turn everything off, like silence your phone. Don't let your computer ping at you. Just quiet. Get a notebook and a pencil. Get quiet. Let your mind wander. If a thought comes in your brain, write it down and then get quiet again. I say do this for 10 minutes. You can do it for 10 or 15 minutes. Try to do it twice a day. If you have to do it 15 minutes once a day, it's less than ideal, but it's better than nothing. Then what you're going to do is you're going to set that paper aside to schedule or delegate the things that you wrote down. Basically, you're just clearing your brain out of the clutter that normally would happen whenever you get quiet, whether it's the shower or trying to fall asleep, and then you're not able to write it down, and that's where you're like, and your brain never gets quiet. So 4, talk about other things. I am absolutely terrible at this. My poor husband. He gets a daily recap of everything I do, read, wrote, saw, just all of it when he gets home from work. He gets home about 8 o'clock at night because he's a nurse. And he works a little ways away. And when he gets home, he just smiles and nods. The one thing that we do now is I used to talk to him as he drove home, but he's got about an hour drive home. Now he makes that his quiet time. And he will text me when he's leaving work. So I know I set a timer. I know when he'll approximately be home and I'll usually like make dinner and then listen to music. And that's kind of like my unwinding time because I love to cook. So that's like a fun time for me. He listens to stuff on the way home or listens to nothing and decompresses. That's his time. And then when he sees me, I, vomit all over him about my day. But, after 30 years together, he still acts like what I'm saying is worth listening to. So I love him for that. But as I've gotten older and I'm around people in their 20s and 30s who do exactly what I do, and then I'm around people in their 40s and 50s who don't, I've started to see that there's real value in allowing your mind to float away to things that aren't in your area of growth and not just, have to unload it onto somebody else all the time. I sit down and I write it down. And this is critical because it's kind of like when you're playing hidden pictures, if you ever did that as a kid. When you look away and look back at the picture, you'll see the pictures that you missed before. You'll see the little things hidden. The act of allowing yourself to focus on something else or just not focus and let thoughts pop up into your head will help you to see what's right in front of you clearer. It sounds weird, but I am amazed. I've actually outlined 2 books in June doing just this, just getting quiet. That's why you keep thinking about your growth areas when you aren't engaged in that. Like I said, in the shower, when you're trying to sleep. That's why you need to create these times of quiet so that when you're doing other things, those precious times with the people you care about the most, you've already dumped the thoughts out and you're not playing Candyland with your toddler or your elementary age kid or whatever, and you're remembering all the stuff you have to do at work, and then you're writing it down or typing it into your phone, and you're not engaged with them. By taking those minutes, you're dumping then, and you're focused on those that you care about when you're focusing on them. Something I did not do amazing at, and something I really regret, and I'm trying to be better at. So these things are going to like come pouring out somehow. By creating time when they are allowed to pour out, you kind of train your brain to do it then, and you'll be able to focus better and not, involve your family in everything and seem to be only concerned about work. They will feel that you're concerned about them because you're thinking about them at work. That's why you can't focus. So if I were to summarize all this, what would I say? I would say the key to making balance during a building phase is boundaries. You need to force yourself to respect the boundaries of work, home, and personal growth time. I am in the process right now of finishing a book where I'll go even more into detail about this, and then I can, like in 10 minutes, I can't really go through all of it. But I'm working on a book where I'm going to go step by step through this and can follow a process. Until I release that, use this time to start to build a framework, and don't be afraid to make some mistakes along the way in doing this. Just keep trying. I have been very honest with you about my own missteps on this process to success. We all fail sometimes. Just try to fail forward. Thanks for your time. I'll see you next week.